And good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Americans podcast. Tommy Daniels here in Texas, and joining me, I'm assuming from his house in Arizona, is a PGA Tour golfer, Kevin Streelman. Streels, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, we're home here in Scottsdale. Thursday is supposed to hit 106, so
Oh man,
it's starting to summer is here. I'll say, but it's good. Been good to be home for a little while, but I am excited to get back on the road. Hopefully sooner than later.
Absolutely. And that was going to be my first question for you. What have you been doing to keep your golf game in order with this quarantine, and how often are you out on the course?
Well, we've been fortunate here in Phoenix that golf has stayed open. Governor Ducey has deemed it okay for now. So the courses I play at have stayed open. We kind of stay on our own carts, but do tend to play very fast, which is fun. And, just kind of playing with my buddies and enjoying the game, enjoying my time. I'll kind of run out, play a quick round in the morning or afternoon, and then get the rest of the day with my kids, or cooking a lot, getting in the pool a lot now that it's heating up, and just trying to enjoy this family time I normally don't have, because I'm usually on the road quite a bit this time of year. So.
Absolutely. We got Rhett with us here today. Hey, Rhett, how you doing, buddy? There he is. Great to have you along. Rhett Streelman, a future maybe Wilson staffer, would be good to see.
Yeah.
Hey, you have to be excited that the schedule is set to resume here in June. And, of course, one of the great old courses, Colonial, one of the courses you like to play.
Yeah, it really is one of my favorites. It's, just a perfect example of a classically old design golf course that has stood the test of time. Everyone talks about technology making courses obsolete, and Colonial is just designed with such great angles where if you don't hit this fairway, you might be only hitting 3-iron or 5 wood off the tee, but if you don't hit the right side of the fairway, you're not going to have an angle to get at this particular pin, or the rough is just that thick Bermuda where you get the flyers that launch over the back of the greens, or they chunk them and they stay way short, and you have tough up and down. So it's just a terrific golf course. With the wind blows, 5 to 10 under has a good chance of winning. So I really hope we can get going there. And then over Hilton Head, which is kind of a similar style golf course. You just got to play the angles and play the fairways to get angles to the pins, and then up to Hartford, which is probably my favorite event of the year. So to play those three, hopefully starting off would be terrific. I really hope it can work out.
This is a PGA Tour player, Kevin Streelman, joining us on the Americans podcast today. And what are some of your favorite holes at Colonial?
Well, I think, the horseshoe there at 3, 4, and 5 are kind of the famous. It's just such a tough stretch. You got the number 3, got to hit a high draw driver, or 3 would depend on the tee, depending on the wind really, and which tee they have us on. But then 4 is just, it's a brutal par 3. It can play all the way up to 235 yards, and over the back it kind of runs off in the chipping area, and short there's two massive bunkers on the left, and then 5 is probably one of the better tee shots on the PGA Tour. You got to play this beautiful little cut around the corner, and then you're faced with 6, 7, 8 iron to a thin green that's really well protected by bunkers, and you can bail left, but you're going to be stuck behind those trees all day long. And I think that was Hogan's favorite hole out there. He could play his little buttercut driver and make his way with the hole. But for us, those are 3 challenging holes in the middle of the front 9, and then he's got a bunch of holes. Like I said, you're hitting 3-iron and 5 wood off the tee, like 7 and 9, and if you don't hit the fairway, it's a very tough par. If you hit the fairway, you're looking at birdie. But that on top of the people of Fort Worth are awesome. We always stay with the Goldman family, live right off 15. They're just the greatest people in the world. And our families have become great friends. The kids have become great friends. It's really a community type feel that week. And it's always a special week. So I'm really hoping we can get started there as planned.
Yeah, we've met Mark. We've met him out of the course following you around there. Unfortunately, this year we won't be able to do that. And I was going to ask you, obviously when you're out playing with your friends, you're not playing in front of a big gallery, but how weird is that going to be for you when we start at Colonial here coming up in June and you're playing in front of no fans at all?
Yeah, definitely the first week or two in particular. It'll definitely be strange, I'd say, for the leaders coming down the stretch as well. Yeah, you love feeding off that energy, being in the hunt. We'll still have the nerves, obviously, and the internal excitement, but yeah, without the the roars and the go get 'ems, or it's going to be a different feeling for sure. But the overall goal is to try and put out a great product, to try and play some great golf, and get some sports fans some necessary live coverage. So I know they got some fun ideas going on with television and how we're going to present this. We've got a call with the tour Wednesday morning to kind of get our weekly update. And as far as I know, everything's scheduled as planned, and we're hoping to get started the week of June 8th in Colonial.
Oh, as you can see, Kevin's a Wilson guy. Tell us about how that all began. How did you become a part of the Wilson family?
Yeah, it's one of those things I think it just was meant to be. I'm a Chicago kid, grew up in Wheaton, Illinois. Wilson's been in Chicago for 103 years, 104 years, something like that. Like, they're just an absolute Midwestern staple of a business and a Chicago staple, and have just done incredible things in the global stage for sporting equipment, for footballs, basketballs, baseballs, tennis balls, tennis rackets, everything. They are, good old American company with the right values. And so I was with a different company for a few years that got bought out by another company, and they were kind of, I wouldn't say forcing players into, but they were asking players to play this particular golf ball that just didn't really work for me in my game. And so it just was one of those deals where they released me from my contract. I wasn't interested in playing it. And my first and only call was to Tim Clark with Wilson. And he said, "We'd love to chat. We'd love to have you." And man, I think I just signed my 4th contract and 10th year with Wilson. And I don't plan on being with anyone else the rest of my career. It's really been a neat experience.
By the way, this hat right here, you can see the Streels on the background. If we can get that up there in the cap. Thank you to your father-in-law, Jeff, and Courtney for sending that nice signed cap. I appreciate that, Streels. Kevin Streelman joining us here on the Americans podcast this afternoon. And I was reading in your bio, you played tennis, basketball, and golf growing up. First of all, who's your golf idol?
I was kind of in that Greg Norman, Freddie Couples era when I was really getting into it. Tiger was about 3-4 years older than me. I think he's 3 years older than me. But yeah, I remember my dad always loved Greg Norman. He loved Jack Nicklaus too. I remember watching the '86 Masters with my dad. He was basically in tears watching the end of that. But kind of Greg Norman was my guy. I'd get those ugly Reebok shirts, or my dad would have those floppy brim hats, and he could always drive a golf ball, which is my specialty too, is driving the golf ball. So he was on a heck of a run there for many years.
And you mentioned Chicago kid, so obviously you were a big Bulls fan growing up, and you grew up in a great era. Give me some of your favorite Jordan moments.
Well, it's just so incredible watching this ESPN Last Dance. We watched Courtney and I number 3 and 4 last night as they premiered, and it truly was my childhood. I got into basketball. I was probably 8-9 years old, which was the late '80s in Chicago, and Jordan, got drafted in '85, and they started winning in '91. I mean, that was my middle school, high school. Me and my dad would sit down and watch every single game together, and we got to go to about 1 game a year. And I just remember when in that stadium, when it would go dark and they go do 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 do, and the light would start going around. It got so loud. It's probably the loudest I've ever heard an arena. And you couldn't even hear it when they said Michael's name. It just was electric. So it's kind of fun bringing back those memories and seeing what they did. That shot against Craig Elo, getting the Pistons finally the 3rd time in '91. When Pistons walked off, I remember my dad was sad when the Pistons walked off the court, and what bad sportsmanship that was. And then Michael calling him out last night, calling Isaiah expletive and stuff like that. I loved all that stuff. It just that was my childhood memories in the winters in Chicago, because there wasn't any golf going on in the winters in Chicago. So we would all have an early dinner. Mom would cook dinner, and we'd sit down and watch WGN and catch the Bulls game together. So
have you met Jordan?
I met him one time. He was a bumbling idiot. I didn't know what I said. I had about 2.5 minutes. I played golf with Jack Nicklaus. I played golf with Tiger Woods, Phil. I mean, everybody. I couldn't have cared less. But I met Michael. My mouth just dropped. I didn't know what to say. But he was super cool, and I pretty much just said thank you. And it's neat now. He started his own course there down in South Florida called Grove 23, and here it's a blast. I have a few friends who are members there, and they've kind of promote having fun. There's no set foursomes. You play in tensomes if you want, and I think gambling is encouraged, and it's kind of just a fun hang for the afternoon. But one day I hope to get down there. I'd love to play with them one day.
Absolutely. By the way, this is Kevin Streelman joining us here on the Americans podcast. So first day at the Masters, you can pick your threesome there. Who are the other two guys teeing off with you on hole one?
If I could play around at the Masters?
Yes.
In the tournament or?
Yeah, we'll just say day one of the tournament.
Day one of the tournament? Man. It'd be fun to play with Tiger around there.
Yeah.
And I would say Jack, but he stopped playing a few years ago. But Jack would be pretty incredible to just hear stories and know his shots he hit around there. It was an incredible story from Augusta. I'll never forget. I got paired with Larry Mize about 4 or 5 years ago, and it just was incredible to watch him make a cut at 61. I think he was 61 at the time.
Yeah.
He couldn't even get to 3 or 4 of the par fours, and he didn't even try to get to 3 or 4 of the par fours each day. But he laid up at the right number and to the right angle to be able to get to the pins, and he got up almost every time. And he finished there. He was like 1 over par in 35th place or something, and like made the cut after 2 days. And I just watched that. I said, man, that was just the course knowledge, the control of his game, the knowledge of his game, and the knowledge of that course, and to make it all come together was super cool to watch. It was like inspirational as a professional, to be honest.
On the bucket list. I hope I can get there someday. I've driven past it, but I've never been to it. So I made it to the 2012 Olympics in London, and that to me was the highlight so far of my sports career. But yeah, I'd love to get to Augusta and actually be there for a round, even a practice round. Kevin, your first PGA win came in Tampa in 2013. I'm not sure you have great memories of that. There were probably wonderful memories of that. What a weekend that was for you. Your first PGA Tour win. How long did it take for it sunk in? And you had to be riding a pretty good confidence ride there for a few weeks after, didn't you?
Yeah, it was surreal. My in-laws were there. Courtney was there. I had a lead. I think it's my 156th start on tour, and I'd had a few leads that I totally screwed up. I had one at the one that I probably learned the most from was in Puerto Rico in 2009. I don't know, no one remembers this, but I had a 3-shot lead going into the final day and double bogeyed the first hole.
Oh no.
73 or 74 and finished like 4th or 5th. And I just played not to lose. Like I was trying to just take it easy. And I mean, I was playing beautiful golf. There's a reason I had a 3-shot lead. Like I was on top of my game and my swing and my putter and everything. And I could have won that tournament by 6-7 shots, I believe, if I went out and played to win.
Mm-hmm.
Played not to lose, and I did lose. And so this week in Tampa, I played nicely on Saturday and jumped up into the lead by 1. But I mean, I had like 24 guys within 4 shots. Like there was no one picking me to hold on to this championship. Justin Leonard was playing great. He was right behind me. Boo Weekley ends up goes and drops like a 62 or 63 on Sunday. We're trying to chase that the whole day. And I was just really proud of that round because I said, you know what, I don't care if I shoot 80 or 60 today, but I'm going to attack this golf course and play some golf to try and win.
Sure.
And had a bogey-free day with 4 birdies, hit 2 incredible par 3 iron shots, a 5-iron on 13 and a 4-iron on 17 to back right pins, both high cuts that are kind of the shots that are difficult for me. But I hit these 2 beautiful long irons and made birdie on both those par 3s. And then had a 2-shot lead on 18. And a great story, too. I knew I had a 2-shot lead, so bogey would have won. I go to my caddy, AJ at the time. I'm like, should I just hit hybrid down there and just knock it up around the green and, just play for bogey? And he looks at me, he goes, you knocked that blanking driver right down the middle. And I just smoked this thing. I hit it like
there you go.
On a string, straight down the pipe, flipped a wedge on and 2-putted and 1 by 2. And then it was over. Like it was, I tell people it was great. It was incredible, but it's like they started taking down the stands as I was giving as I was receiving the trophy. And I'd say it wasn't quite as spectacular as I thought it would be, but yet I loved being in the heat that moment. Like just the competition, the fans, the energy, just seeing what you got when it's around the table. Like that is why I play golf. I love that part. So that was awesome. That was awesome. And then a few months later at the Players, I had a good run too. I almost finished second there that year. Tiger won in 14, and I'm sorry, I was 13. I was still 13, and finished second the year Tiger won, and almost backdoored a win there as well. But yeah, it was a nice stretch of golf I was playing there in 13 and 14.
Yeah, and speaking of 14, number 2 comes at the Travelers Championship. You closed with 7 straight birdies, which is a record amount set to win a tournament. What was going on that day? I mean, you're a PGA guy. You're one of the best out there, and obviously, you have that talent. But 7 birdies in a row, especially to close to win, that is just amazing. What was going on?
So that was mid-summer 2014, and I was playing terrible. I was going through a swing change, a coach change. I'd missed 4 or 5 cuts in a row. Like literally, I did not know what was going on with my golf game. Like had no expectations going into Hartford. We had a family vacation planned the week after that. Like I felt fortunate. I won Tampa the year before, so I was exempt the next year. I was almost partly thinking, let's just get to the end of the season and figure out my coach and what's going on. And I swung in DC and saw a guy named Wayne DeFrancesco up there. And he kind of just had 2 simple ideas. I kind of got my weight more centered, and I tried to get the club a little more in front of me. And it felt nice hitting the ball. I hit it great the first 2 days. I make the cut. I had a great Saturday, made a lot of putts Saturday and shoot a 64, and I'm up to like 10th or 11th place going into Sunday. So I'm like, man, who knows what could happen today. And the start at Hartford's pretty gettable. Like 2s, they're both flip wedges, 1 and 2. And if you had a good drive on 3, you should be able to birdie that. And I start out par, bogey, par, and then make another silly bogey on 7. So I'm 2 over in like 25th or 30th place through 8 holes. And I tell you, I hit a nice wedge into 9 about 15 feet. It's like a double breaker. And I just see this putt, and I hit the putt. It goes in just how I saw it. Like, it just was a nice putt. Birdie there, shoot 1 over on the front. So I shoot 36 on the front. I get to 10. I miss the green there, and I chip it to 8 feet, and I make that. I miss the green on 11, hit a bad bunker shot to like 15 feet. But I make that putt too. So now all of a sudden the putter is starting to feel pretty nice. And I get to 12, which is you get a nice drive. You can have a wedge. I hit a nice drive. I flip a wedge to like 12 feet. And I'm over my putt, and I back off. And my caddy, AJ, comes up to me. He's like, man, what's going on? I go, I was thinking about fishing. Like I was thinking about fly fishing on our family vacation next week. And he's like, well, get back in there and focus. So I walk up. I bury that putt. Next hole, par 5. I hit it up near the green, get up and down, bury that putt. I got a 20-footer next hole. I make that. 15's the drivable hole. I hit it up next to the green, and I chip it to like 11 feet. And I make that. And then I knew something special was going to happen. And I get to 16's the par 3, and they've got this front right pin, which you just literally cannot get within 20, 25 feet. And I hit it to the back of the green. I've got like a 45-footer. And I watched the video of this, and this thing literally is like perfectly struck. It goes up, looks like it's going to miss high the whole way, and then it just falls in the back door of the putt and drops for birdie. So I'm like, here we go. That's that. At the time, I didn't realize that was 5 in a row, but I knew I was making a move to win. And I tell people, like, I truly went back to my mini tour days where it's like, if you didn't shoot 66 each day, like, you lost ground. So you wanted money, if you wanted to like put food on your table for your family, like, you had to keep making birdies. And I was like, all right. I was proud of myself walking up to 17 tee up the hill, because I said, I've got to hit this fairway. Like, if you don't hit this fairway, there's water all down the right, bunkers left. Like, you have to focus and hit this tee ball. And I hit a nice little cut 3-wood off the bunker, middle of the fairway. And then I hit a really nice wedge, just how I wanted it. Spun down the hill to 3.5 feet, tapped that one in. And once again, I had to kind of contain my energy and nerves and composure. And I saw I was still 1 back. I was like, we gotta make another birdie. So I literally thought, I said, if I swing at 50% on this tee ball, I have so much energy and adrenaline going through me, I think it's going to be plenty far enough. So in my mind, I literally tried to hit that shot on 18 at 50%. And I look back at the video, and it looks like I'm swinging out of my shoes. This thing went 335 yards, straight down the pipe, ran up near that cart path where it used to be down the middle of the fairway. And I hit a nice wedge to about 8 feet under the hole, and I I knew I wasn't going to miss it. Like, it didn't matter where I put that putt, it was going in. And I ended up one putting 10 holes in a row, birdied 8 of the last 10 and birdied the final 7 and ended up beating Sergio by 1. I remember him walking up the hill and he looked at me. He's like, "What?" It just was like, I don't know, but I don't know what happened, but I just blacked out and I just had a lot of fun. I was trusting my reads. I was trusting my instincts and was executing. And it was the best golf I've ever played. I'm shooting 36. I shot a 28 on the back on the Sunday afternoon at a tour event. So pretty special.
Oh, wow. Kevin Streelman joining us here on the podcast. Couple more. You're a Duke guy, a Duke grad. Is it true that Coach K sent you a Duke jersey with the number 7 on the back for your 7 birdies to win? Is that true?
Yeah, it was really special. The Travelers guys, actually the next year when you come for your media day, they ask you to come for the media day. Kind of as a thank you, they get the past champions a gift. So my gift was a signed Coach K jersey, Duke jersey, with the 7 on the back. It said, like, "To Kevin, great job, Coach Mike Krzyzewski." It was like, wow, that framed in the basement immediately.
That's wow! What a great story too. What a great run, huh? That's been a lot of fun watching Duke basketball over the years. We know you're a Christian athlete. So one question I always wondered, you're playing a lot on Sundays. Do you have a group of guys that you get together? Is the PGA Tour have a chapel for you? Just curious.
We do a Tuesday night Bible study. It could be at someone's rental house. It could be at hotels, local hotels that we stay at, wherever we can get together and we have a chaplain, actually a few chaplains that take turns following us around and spend times with us, with our families, with our kids. They're great to grab dinner with or just watch the kids once. Like, they're just out there to serve and to help. And they're both with College Golf Fellowship. Stephen Bunn and Brad Payne are their names. They're just 2 of the best people I know in the whole world. And so we do, even during this quarantine, about 10 of us have been going through a study together on 2 Corinthians. So we meet via Zoom every Thursday morning for about an hour and a half and just kind of share our lives and hearts and what's going on and keep some sanity and get in scripture and stay connected, because it is difficult. It's a traveling circus. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of moving parts. And so to have our faith and have something grounded is really important to us out there.
Well, that's awesome. And maybe next time I want to hear more about this guitar playing. I hear you're quite the guitar player.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I'd say quite. I'm probably a 10 handicap on guitar, but I've been pulled on stage a time or 2 by a few friends. But
that's awesome.
I enjoy it.
Well, Kevin, thank you very much for giving us time this afternoon. Great stories. And hopefully we can do this again. I'm disappointed that we won't get a chance to see you at Colonial this year, but hopefully things will get better soon.
Yep. I hope so. All the fans, we're wanting to get out there playing as much as you guys want to watch, and we appreciate you sticking with us. And we're going to be out there putting on a great show when the time's right. But there's other things more important right now that our society needs to take care of. And love your families well and love your kiddos well, and we'll all get through this. So.
All right. And again, I give my best and thank you to Courtney and to your great father-in-law, Jeff, for helping to set this up. And best of luck to you, Streels.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.